Okay, good morning, mummies. I just realized we had set everything up, then Aymun left the call, and now I have to do
Set it up again.
everything again.
Yeah,
No
sorry.
problem. You're a co-host now.
Okay.
Fantastic. Everybody, very welcome on the call. I think we're waiting for a little while more to get people to join, but we can get started on introductions. So we're recording this anyway, so we'll be posting it on YouTube later. I'm super excited to have Aymun with us today. She also did a lovely reel that I hope lots of you watched on Instagram, which already gave you a bit of a taster of what we're going to talk about today. Aymun is a fantastic chiropractor here in Singapore. She's going to give us a little introduction in a while. And I invited her because I really wanted to talk about baby's development. And I feel that there are so many people here in Singapore, especially I see, that don't really know how to support their baby's development. They have them lying on a on a blanket, sitting in a car seat the whole day,
Yeah.
and it's mainly, helpers while the parents are at work as well. And I want them to try and understand, how does my baby develop over the months? How
Yeah.
important is it that they meet their milestones, and they're also being made sequentially so that they don't miss out on certain steps and don't jump one step, for example,
Yeah.
as well. And
Mm.
how important motor development is also for brain development. So I think that's what we're going to learn about today.
Yeah.
Aymun, do you want to start by just giving us a little bit of a background of where you're from, what prompted you to train as a chiropractor, and what kind of training do you have, and what are your special talents, I guess?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. I really appreciate it. Hi, everyone. I am Dr. Aymun. I am a pediatric and prenatal chiropractor. I'm from New Zealand. So I was saying to Johanna earlier, and I was like, if I speak really fast, and if it's just like something doesn't make sense, slow me down. So I always say this when I'm presenting, because I've got so much information that I want to share. So please slow me down if something doesn't make sense. What encouraged me to become a chiropractor? Well, I was on my way to med school. I think I've shared that story before, right? And I was on my way to become a medical doctor, and then my best friend was becoming a chiropractor at the time. And she was like, "Oh, why don't you pop down? Like, come find out what we do." And I was like, I'm not too sure about this. Like, hello, like uni starts next week. And then I went and I saw in the student clinic a pregnant mum get adjusted. And at the time I asked the supervisor who was supervising that intern, and I was like, "Oh, like, what's going on? Explain to me how this works." And that's it. I walked out with registration papers in hand, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. It just made sense. I always knew I wanted to do something about brain, babies, and pregnancy. So
Yeah.
when I saw that, it was almost like it was put there for me to see. Yeah. And yeah, that's it. And here I am. And then I pursued, after 5 years of chiropractic study, then I did 2 years of postgrad in pediatrics chiropractic. And I did that out of Melbourne. So as I speak right now, I think I'm still the only pediatric chiropractor in Singapore.
Okay. And what brought you to Singapore, actually?
My husband's job.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So 8 years ago, actually, next week.
Oh, wait, amazing.
Yeah.
15 years, if you can believe it.
Yeah. It goes by pretty fast. Did you come in saying 2 years as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
actually 3, because otherwise you need to pay back tax back in the UK. So
Okay.
it's going to be 3 years.
Okay.
Anyway, you are also a baptized mom and have
Yes.
been for many, many years. So
Yes.
that's what I love. Actually love to support our community. And I'm always looking out for mamas who have talents that they want to share, what they offer to clients that obviously fitting for pregnancy and small babies.
Yeah, I am. My son's going to be 5 this year, and I've been a big supporter of, like, obviously the work that you do and the community that you've built, and the wealth of information there is in those WhatsApp chats. Wow. So I really love that.
I really, what I love about this too is that I think it's one thing to learn something in theory. It's quite another to actually apply it to your own child. And I think having this hands-on experience of, I don't know, I think of as a naturopath, I think of giving baby or a small child medicine, tea and a tincture, and how the baby reacts to that, and how can we make that palatable?
Yeah.
You know that they should be taking it, but that doesn't mean that they will be accepting of it. And the same will be you not just supporting someone in clinic where you see them for an hour maybe, but actually supporting and fostering their development over the years, away from birth.
Yes, yes. And I think those are, I mean, I have a huge amount of respect and love for all my patients, but my favorite ones are the ones that, when the mother's been under prenatal care and then she brings in her baby that was just inside her belly 2 weeks ago, and then watch that baby. There's a lot of times that we're like, oh, before you know it, the baby will be crawling and walking into the clinic. And that's like, because I've done this for so long, and I've been lucky enough to have patients like this where I've literally seen that baby go from crawling to walking to now in primary school. So it's really, I really like what I do, and it's and to develop and to see them thrive. It's really the best part of my job.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is while you start sharing your presentation, what I want to say is that Mummies, chiropractic is not just for when you have a problem. In fact, it can be part of a general maintenance of yourself, of your baby, your toddler, your child, your teenager, your husband, everybody, whole family can get treated.
So, I think there is a big misconception, right? We're like, well, if our back hurts, that's when we will go to a chiropractor. And I hope with some of what I will share today, we can break that stereotype of what a chiropractor does and how it's just so much more about that nervous system, that command center, than just crack your back when you're in pain.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, amazing. Let's take it away. Let's start sharing your presentation.
Yeah, sure.
Aymun was saying earlier as well, this is all for you. She's not doing this for herself, to hear herself speak, but this is really for you to get the most out of it. So if you have any questions about baby's development, or anything that you don't understand on the slide that isn't quite clear, please let us know. Raise your hand or put it in the chat, and I will read it out to Aymun as well.
Yes, please. Johanna will keep an eye on the chat for me. Because if I escape this Canva thing, then you'll be able to see all the chat and all of that. So yes, before I start, so this presentation is for you more than for me. I am here to answer your questions, to share my knowledge with you and what I know as a chiropractor and a mother and someone who looks after the nervous system of pregnant women, family, everyone, like the babies, the dads, the grandparents in the clinic. So please ask questions, because I do really think that if we can get a conversation started, then we can put a lot of minds to ease as well if you are in doubt about anything. So this, I like to call it like the movement milestone and the brain development presentation. I have shared already a little bit about myself, but for those of you who don't know, I am Dr. Aymun. I am a pediatric and prenatal chiropractor at New Beginnings Chiropractic. I own that clinic and work at that clinic with my business partner, another chiropractor as well, Dr. Radia. So two of us running that clinic and the faces of that clinic, really.
Great.
So yeah. So before the baby comes, we always focus on the prenatal chiropractic part of it, because it is not just a pregnancy. It is so much more than that, and I will discuss more than that. But I have this beautiful way to explain this relationship of, between the pelvis, the uterus, and how this baby grows during the pregnancy, by using this hot air analogy, our hot air balloon analogy. And I always use this with my patients, and then something I see, just it clicks and they're like, oh yes, got it. This is what it means. Okay, so if you've been to our clinic, I don't know if some of you have, like the photo on the left of your screen. It's a beautiful photo, like a floral photo of the baby inside the pelvis, inside the uterus, in a very optimal head down position. So,
Aymun,
yeah, can you see that? Yeah.
you're not sharing, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Can you share your screen for
Yeah,
us?
I am. It says I'm sharing.
Oh, I can't see the presentation.
Oh, okay. Let me hold on. Um, I swear, sometimes I just don't know what I'm doing. Sorry about that. Okay, can you see that now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, sweet. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So can you guys see the, so the
Yes.
first slide should be prenatal chiropractic. Yeah, the photo on the left, it's the baby in the optimal position. Then we've
Aymun, do you put it in presentation mode as well? Because otherwise we see your notes as well.
Oh, sure, my notes as well. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
So
Excellent.
okay, we've got the hot air balloon. So if you imagine the hot air balloon as so we've got the big fabric, beautiful fabric over here, which will be the uterus. Okay, then we've got the basket, which is the pelvis. And if you think of those tight ropes that hold that balloon up, those are your ligaments, muscles, tendons holding that uterus up. So we obviously want everything to work together. So we have one, we enjoy the pregnancy, so it goes very smoothly, and then everything to work together for when the time comes for labor and delivery as well. So what we are doing as a chiropractor is to make sure that those ropes, the pelvis and that uterus are super aligned. They have no tension, they have no misalignment of any sort, no shifts, no areas of stresses. So the balloon can go up along with the basket, and the baby then has a lot of space to move around and to grow in. And when the time comes after 32, 33 weeks, to move down into that optimal head down position. Okay, so what I am doing as a chiropractor, a lot of like the women that we see, they will come see us because something or the other hurts, which is fine. We can take care of it. But when we see at that bigger picture of, okay, what is chiropractic doing? What are those gentle adjustments to that pelvis, to the round ligament, which is holding that uterus up? What is that doing to the pelvis? Then it really starts to make sense of how that pelvis will move in the in the labor and delivery will also then dictate how your birth process goes. Okay.
Absolutely. And I think it's, we always know that a baby that is not starting out in an optimal position might mean a longer birth, a more difficult journey through the birth canal.
Yeah.
This mal position, if we can call it that, or these difficult positions, that is my understanding, often caused by the babies will go where they find the most space, is what I always try.
Correct.
So if we have a uterus that is, or a mom that holds tension on the one side, for example, the baby might be forced into a position that is not optimal.
Yes.
So making sure that all of that is maintained throughout pregnancy can have a real impact on how going to birth.
Yeah, and daily stresses happen. We are that modern parent, that modern working woman. We're sitting down for longer periods of time. We're carrying our toddlers, we're running around, we still can, so a lot of like those smaller stresses to the spine can happen throughout that pregnancy. If you had a difficult birth the first time around, you can carry a lot of trauma, in your body. If you have a history of any low back pain or any issues or injuries, that can affect how the pregnancy can go as well. So I do really believe that with the gentle adjustments and just correcting those stresses and those shifts, it can create a lot of that space where the baby can move and grow around in. And then this will also we know how what you talked about, that squeezing motion of that birth canal helps shape the head, because when they're moving down that birth canal, it activates their nervous system, activates those nerves, pushes the fluids out of the lungs. So it is really important how they're moving down the birth canal as well without any stresses. So how you how our children are born really does matter. And actually the next slide, the great segue into, it is really important of how our children are born matters, because birth is that big moment, right? It's that first big full body movement. It is that crucial role, what we said, you know, when they're being born, when you're going through the birth canal, the squeezing motion on the head activates those nerves coming out of the brainstem, going to your mouth, going to your neck, going to the upper part of the shoulders, and activating those nerves, activating that first brainstem, like, and creating those neurological patterns. So when you do the breast crawl to feed the baby, when you do your first cry, it will make a significant difference of how you're born and what you present as. And I'm sure like you probably see that as a doula as well. We see that in the clinic, a natural vaginal birth child versus a C-section child, and the amount of stresses that can be put on, especially the top part of the neck, it's quite significant. Yeah, and I say this with all honesty, like I ended up with a emergency C-section. So my baby was born, there was a lot of meconium, and then he ate it as well, and I was still a little bit far off from getting to fully dilating. And yeah, so I saw the stresses because I had done this for quite some time, and I knew what the upper part of the neck felt like in a vaginal birth. And then I checked him the first time on day 2 or 3. And I was like, oh, okay, now I see it. Like, I know what this difference is on my own child. So it's really, I think it's really important to take in all the considerations of how our children are being born. Yeah.
Okay, and we actually have a question regarding or relating to that. So a mommy is asking, how does the nervous system of a baby born via C-section differ from one that is born via vaginal birth? Is it suboptimal when a baby comes out via C-section? And what are the mechanics at work there?
Yeah, so it is suboptimal, and now it's not just us saying it, and like in clinic there's a lot of like a few studies that have started to come out as well, because the stresses that are put on the baby's neck, and it's starting to change, because when you're coming out through the birth canal, the natural squeezing motion versus making a cut and then taking your neck out, the stresses that we're putting on the neck are different. Okay. So also the head position, when we have a vaginal birth, we're coming down with our chin down, which is very optimal for how the occiput moves. And but when we're coming out in C-section, we're coming out like this a little bit. Okay, so that really changes your the nervous system development, that changes your mechanism of how the top part of your neck is going to move. And the top part of your neck now goes to your mouth, jaw, face, and the neck. So the stresses that are then translated into how that C-section baby now feeds because of those early stresses will be different. So yes, definitely suboptimal. Of course, as I said, it happens sometimes, it is needed. And it is okay if you have a child if you've had a C-section birth. But I think getting them checked to reduce those stresses is a really good thing.
So this is really interesting, because I think there's a misconception out there that a C-section is gentler on the baby. And if I have seen C-sections, especially when you talk about these emergency C-sections, which are basically one that happens after a mom has labored for a considerable amount of time, often these babies are so deep into the pelvis as well that they have to use forceps to get them out as well. This is more common than you think, and obviously forceps does stress, put a lot of strain on the baby's body as well.
Correct. So I don't know how many of you are watching, because I can't see how many of you are watching right now. So I'm a forceps baby, okay, a natural birth, but a forceps baby. I will tell, so I'm 36 years old now. The amount of stresses that the forceps ended up putting on my head changed the way that I talk and how my face moves.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. they have caused like an injury over the years, or not over the years, but then because they squeeze, well, they're like just your big barbecue tongs, right?
Yes, exactly.
So they are doing that. It can cause a little bit of like that nerve damage across, because, and then as I said, those nerves are coming to your face, your jaw, your neck. So how my mouth moves is different. So you have the rest of the presentation to look at my mouth and tell me. Yeah. So, and then, yeah. So, and again, even in a C-section, I've seen a growing trend in Singapore. They've started to use, again, because the labor is so far progressed, they need the forceps to take them out because they're still putting the cut down there. And the baby's so far down that they really need a lot of force to take the baby out. It is anything but gentle.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Mm.
There was a mom, I don't know the question but it's basically, is there hope? Like, what do you do if you know that your baby, for example, that ended up with a C-section after, you know, a prolonged labor?
Mm.
How do you counteract that? Like,
Yeah.
you have ways in chiropractic to actually mitigate
Yes.
those issues.
Yeah. And you know what, like I said that earlier, like I am here for you. Of course, chiropractic is a great tool to reduce that stress, to get that assessment done, to find out those areas of stresses earlier, the better. Okay. But there's also your baby physios who do a lot of craniosacral work, your osteopaths as well. So it's not just me, there are body workers out there. If you don't like chiropractic, that's fine. Find something else that will gel, and there are people who can help you and reduce the stress on that growing child.
Okay.
Yeah.
And mom is asking, what are the actual, like, are there any signs that would tell us that my section baby has that tension in the neck you're talking about? Or
Yes.
what? Yeah. So how do I know?
I do have that slide later on.
Okay.
Is that okay if I come back to it?
Yes, of course.
Okay, because I promise I will cover it and it will make sense. It will be after the milestones,
Yeah.
the red flags to kind of look for. And I think I promise some of them will, they may not surprise you, Johanna. You've done this for quite some time. But I think the parents will maybe surprised by one or two. Okay, so hang in there, I will cover that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Was there any, you said there was one more question?
No, that was all.
Okay. All right. So we have our brain development movement. So every development, every movement that the baby does strengthens the muscles, creates those neural connections, and gets your baby stronger. So, you know, we have like something like the baby's brain is like what, 25% of the adult brain, and 90% of their brain is developed by the age 7. Okay, so that means that you have a lot of movement and very fast neural connections being made when your baby is born. So early tummy time is crucial. Whether it's okay that if you're not putting your baby on that floor and doing the tummy time, but if you're in an inclined position and doing the tummy time on yourself, I think it is very, very important that you do that. I see a lot of people, like even with at 2 months, they come into the clinic and they're like, I'm like, okay, well, 2 months, how is the tummy time going? Kind of not doing it because there's just not enough time. And I understand that with a newborn, it goes through like that cycle where it looks like feed, change the diaper, sleep, feed. And but do it on yourself, you know, take a contact nap, be in that inclined position, and you will find windows. I'm not asking you to do 10 to 15 minutes every day. I'm just asking you to do small bits and pieces of small bits throughout the day. So if you aim for 1 to 2 minutes every diaper change during the day, don't worry, you don't have to do it at night. You will still get plenty. Because what, a newborn is changing what, 10 diapers a day, sometimes more.
Yeah.
Easy, right? If you aim for minimum 1 minute, you've cleaned them up, you put them on their belly, you sit in front of them and you play. That's 10 minutes in a day done. And for that newborn who's just come home from the hospital, they're 7 days old, that's plenty. Okay, and you will start seeing changes. You will start seeing them, you know, like moving their neck a little bit more and getting more comfortable in that position. And when they're awake, you know, you just you do that on your chest. A lot of fathers like to do it on their arm, in almost like a tiger on a tree position, and that is movement as well. Tummy time for in those early infancy age, so important. We know how fast your every synapse, like every second there's like 10,000 or 100,000 synapses being built. The synapses are like those little brain electric like waves, the simplest way I can put it for you. And I think every movement that happens, the brain goes, oh, I learned something. So very important. Obviously, movement is a small, big enough but small portion of your brain development. Your diet and your later on, like those things matter as well. But what you can do now is, if you have a newborn, if you have a baby, put them on their tummy if they're awake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's more than just that, right? Like it's more than just they're just getting their tummy time. Great for their neck movement. Great to avoid those flat head spots. So they're not laying on their back and now their head is getting flatter on one side more than the other. If they have any torticollis, you know, like it's helping strengthen their neck, helping strengthen their shoulders. So really important for what the next milestones are going to come in, and when the baby starts to now come up a lot more and then eventually roll over as well.
Amazing.
Okay. Any questions so far?
No.
We good? Okay. So we've got developmental milestones. You'll notice that I didn't put ages over here, and that was done for a reason, because I wanted you to hear me first rather than just taking a screenshot of it and going, oh yeah, we'll just do that.
Yeah, also, Aymun, I think these guidelines have changed recently.
Yes, I'm going to talk about that, and I'm trying to not, I'm going to try not get angry about that. Yeah. Okay. So so the milestones that I've covered on this slide, they go up to walking only, okay? Because that first 15, 16 months, very crucial for brain development, very crucial for milestones as well. And then it ends at walking here, because then, sure, we'll take care of that afterwards. But we're going to stop at walking. As I said in the video as well, and on Instagram that we posted, that it is, think of it as a staircase, okay? Your developmental milestones are a staircase. You need to go up. If anything is missed or skipped, now it becomes harder to get to your next milestone, okay? So it is crucial that you meet them in order, rather than, oh, my child never crawled, now they're just pulling to stand, okay? Or no, they're not rolling over, but they're falling everywhere. So it is crucial that that you meet them in order as well. That's how, what we call them, like little inch stones before eventually walking. And those inch stones matter of how the muscles are developing and how your brain develops. And then they're not rushed. You can't rush walking. You can't have a 9-month-old. Yes, a 9-month-old may want to try to walk because they're pulling to stand, but ideally they're meeting all the other milestones first, rather than, oh, my 9-month-old is now just walking on their own. Okay, you would really cannot rush this, and I promise you, there's no prize at the end for kids who just end up crawling at the end, or end up like walking at 9 months. Okay, so we've got our rolling over. Oh, and sorry, going back to our guidelines being changed. Yes, so CDC has changed some guidelines over the past year and a half, 2 years. And MOH is now following those guidelines. Unfortunately, they have taken out some of the crucial milestones. Okay. My favorite one, crawling. They've taken it out. They've said, sweet, if your child doesn't crawl, yeah, they don't need to. It's fine. Oh, yes. We'll just take it out altogether, and they can just sit and pull to stand and walk at 2 years of age. And if you see in the community of like physical therapists, osteos, brain development, like neuroscientists, like all of those guys, they are pretty angry about that. Because crawling is so crucial for that brain development. There's all these other things, and then there's crawling, okay? And I've got a whole slide on crawling, and I just don't agree with those guidelines. There is a growing trend. The reason that it was taken out, obviously, they saw that more and more kids were not crawling.
Yeah, okay.
So they're like, kids just must not be crawling now. Okay, what happened? But I think it came with the trend of kids just being on their back a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Kids spending a longer and longer times on their back in the walkers, in the rockers, and the jolly jumpers, and which didn't strengthen their muscles, their core, their brain enough to actually, they don't crawl, they don't get enough time on their tummies, so their brain doesn't know what to do, and now they've just skipped it, and they've gone to, because they're sitting down and everything, they've gone to pulling to stand or cruising along on furniture, or sometimes even missing that. And they've also pushed the ages a little bit. They've said it's okay to like not walk until 2 years of age.
Yeah.
Which is quite late, in my opinion. It's okay if they don't walk up until 16 to like, it's a rough guide of like, okay, of like 14 to 16, 17 months, but anything later than that, and now it's a concern.
Okay, so can you comment on that a little bit? What is your take on these contraptions that you were talking about? The bouncers, the walkers, all of that. Are they good? Are they being overused?
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why we use them. I get it. Okay, we want to have a quick shower. We don't have help. Our husbands are at work, and I just want to have a shower. Can you please stay on the rocker and have a quick shower? Sure, please use that. Okay, it's 10 to 15 minutes in a day. Use that. Okay, but not. Please don't encourage like taking naps in the what are they called, Johanna? I keep getting them wrong.
I don't know.
Rockers,
I think
right?
Sorry.
They're called a rocker.
Rocker, bouncer,
bouncer. Yeah, a rocker, bouncer. Yeah,
it depends on the country.
Because there's in New Zealand we also have that thing called the jolly jumper.
That is horrible.
You know that? Yeah. So if you have that, in my kindest opinion, throw that away. Don't waste your money on that. It's so not equipped and designed for hip development. It creates a lot of tiptoeing. It shortens your calf muscle, but it's fun. They look cute doing it. It makes for a great Instagram reel, but that's about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the bouncer as well. If it's 10 minutes a day while you take a shower or make a meal, please do that. Okay, I'm not going to don't take that away from yourself, like for 10 minutes apiece. But if you have the alternative, if you have a playpen and you can just leave them on their tummy safely, that will be much better for you as well. So doing that. And another, the walker. If you have a push walker, those wooden ones with the little wheels, you can. The baby has been cruising along the furniture confidently, and now they're using the push walker. Absolutely love them. I support them. You can use that. But if you have that walker where you sit inside and you're walking, and it's like that it has 4 wheels. No. I don't see the reason of using it. They're so dangerous. Again, they create very that tiptoeing. It's a very unnatural movement, and it delays that readiness for walking.
Okay. And I have a question too on, supporting those milestones. I see a lot of moms just saying, oh, look, she's already walking, and like forcing them before their time to do certain things, like holding them on their hands and then making them walk. It's like they want them to skip because they're so brilliant, and my kid can already do this. What a genius. But it's not actually good for them, right?
No, it's absolutely not. And there's a reason it goes from like that rolling over to coming on your little elbows, pushing yourself off to build that shoulder strength. Then you will see when they're doing their tummy time, their knees will be like a little one leg straight, one knee bent, to eventually crawling. A lot of the kids will crawl backwards first. Okay, they will go around in circles. They will try to do that. Okay, they may army crawl for a little while, but what we want is to come on their hands and knees on all fours position and have that cross crawl pathway, cross crawl pattern where one hand forward, opposite leg forward. Okay, and what this does is creating that right and left brain to develop. Okay, and both your brains developing very well together. So it's rolling over anywhere from like say 14 to 18 weeks, 20 weeks sometimes. But now I am, if you're attempting, if your child is attempting to roll on one side but not the other, that's okay, because they will master, let's say they've gone from tummy to back on the right. They will master that skill first, and then they will move to the other side. Okay. So lots of opportunities, again, leaving them on the floor in a safe space, on the mat. Toes out is really important for that proprioception. So, you know, just like that picture, what I've shown you, like in a onesie is great. I also live in Singapore, so you don't really need those booties and socks and a full thing, because their hands and their feet, the proprioception will guide them as well. Once they start rolling over, you can also do a lot of sideline playing, which will encourage them, or take like a little toy and guide them as well to turn around. If now they've come to 6 months and they're still not rolling over at all, they've shown no attempts of it, they can't do any side at all, definitely an assessment is required to kind of just see what they're doing. Okay. And there will be telltale signs before that. You know, the lack of tummy time, if they don't like tummy time, if they're not getting enough of it. If they don't get enough, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to grow from there.
Okay. And I've got a question here. My child is showing signs that he wants to hold my hands to stand, but as yet he's not sitting unassisted or crawling properly. Do I discourage him from or stop facilitating that?
How old is your child?
I hope the mummy is in response.
That's important.
5 months on Friday.
Oh, 5 months on Friday. You've got some time. No, they do want to do that, especially if you've got an older sibling, and you know when you hold them and everyone comes up to them going hi, because it almost feels like it's an interaction and you always want to hold your hands. You don't have to worry about sitting yet. They may be doing tripod sitting unassisted a little bit. If you can put them, you can sit on the floor and put your legs up, put them in the middle, so they're supported by your upper, like your thighs a little bit in the middle, and then support that sitting that way. And again, come back to the basics, floor time, unassisted, uninterrupted, and leaving them there. Yeah, they may want to just interact with your hands, but they probably, maybe you can message me. I don't fully understand, like they want to get up. They're not sitting yet, so they won't be able to come up. Yeah, maybe you may just want an interaction.
You're right. It might just be a reaching out rather than pulling up, you know.
Yes.
And I think pulling up is also quite difficult for their shoulders too, isn't it? So
that's why that sitting comes first before that pulling to stand. Okay, and there's lots of sitting, right? You will do that tripod sitting with the hands in front of you first, in front of yourself first. Then you will eventually just come up a little bit. And that's when you can just assisting with just sitting on you or in between your legs, or again back to tummy time where they can strengthen their core to then eventually sit up. If you see the photo that where I have on crawling and pulling to stand, a lot of kids will have that transitionary position in between sitting and standing, because they go from crawling to sitting. So that's a really important one as well, around that time of like 6 to 8 months, where they'll be like, oh, we can just center up, one leg straight, one leg in a W position, not one leg in a W position, one half of it, and then they will just go back to crawling again, or just being on their tummy and army crawling for a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah. So crawling, really important, comes around anywhere from like that 5.5 months to 7 months, 8 months. But yeah, we do see some late crawlers, but if your child is showing signs of crawling or any type of crawling, that is a good sign. Ideally, it will be your hands and knees. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Then pulling to, we have coming back to sitting. A common question that we get around sitting is, should we support them? And should I use some sort of gadget to encourage them to sit? No, Simplest answer, no, don't need to. You just let them be. Let the core, the shoulders, the brain do its job. We don't need to assist them into sitting. And no need to rush to buy a bumbo seat, or any of the other. I think the most popular one is the bumbo seat, where we sit them. And I think if your child, which like a lot of the kids over here, they will go to infant care or play groups. If they're not sitting, they will kind of sit them in that bumbo seat for a little while to feed them. Obviously, there's just it's kind of like outside our control a little bit, because we are giving our child for someone else to look after. And that's not what we really can't control. Just ask the school how long they're spending on that bumbo seat. And then when they come home, you just don't do any of that and just leave them on their floor, and plenty of time to just, move, full body movement.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so then we have the pulling to stand. They start reaching out on smaller bits of furniture, like a low sofa that you may have, or the coffee table, or their toy shelf. They try to, and now then they slowly then pull themselves up. That's around 9 to 10 months that you start seeing those signs of it, and then they will start cruising along the furniture. And you around that 10 to 12 month mark, you may see, like, they go from one couch to the other. If it's close by, they'll be like, oh, I'm going to leave my hand, but I'm going to quickly go grab the other one. So that's so that they're getting confident, their shoulders are getting stronger. And because of, if they've crawled really well, their eye coordination is really good. So they know how to move that arm and that leg. Because if they're skipping, crawling, actually, that's the next slide, so I won't jump into it. But if they're skipping, crawling, you will notice the delay in that hand-eye coordination as well, and how they walk later on. Okay, then cruising along furniture, and then will come a lot of like holding hands and walking, putting them against a wall for a very short distance, like right there, and then going, okay, you can come towards me, and then see if they can walk. And don't worry if they're not walking on their first birthday. I have, I think culturally, even, so I'm originally from Pakistan, and I have always heard that, oh my gosh, what do you mean, like, your child's not walking on their first birthday? Like, I don't know why it's a thing. Like, I don't know.
I think it was the previous milestones that they had like 30 years ago. So I think it's what.
Yeah, could be, but yeah, I think like lack of studies, lack of research, lack of understanding what the brain was doing, and also maybe someone else did it over the years, like around that 12, 13 mark. So thinking that their baby is automatically going to get up and walk on their birthday.
No, but I think, Aymun, there's another aspect to this as well, is when my daughter was born 32 years ago, was tummy to sleep.
Yes.
So I think babies developed faster because they had the upper body control way earlier, because they were lying on their tummies to sleep. Because we were told, on the back, that's the most dangerous thing you can do.
Yeah. And we were tummy to sleep as well. We were tummy to sleep, and so, but they don't usually. Well, like, now things have been changing a little bit, and they so don't worry if they didn't wake up on their first birthday and walked out of the room going, oh my God, it's just not going to happen. Okay, don't worry. Okay. There is an age range. Obviously, some kids will meet it earlier. Some may walk at 13 months. Some is now just still not independently walking at 16 months. It is okay. Are there signs, and are they meeting everything else that leads up to that walking? Okay. Are they cruising along the furniture? Do they let go for a little while and then eventually walk? Okay. And holding hands and walking. So up until 16 to 17 months. And then if they are showing no signs at all, then that's a concern, a red flag, and then you can get that assessed properly. But as a parent, I do like your mom gut. Listen to your mom gut. Like, see what's happening. You know your child best. And go with that.
A question we always get around walking is, do we need shoes? At what point do we introduce shoes? What kinds of shoes should they be? Flexible, or should they just be barefoot so that they
barefoot? Yeah, I mean, barefoot is the best. Not the brand barefoot, being barefoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really don't need it. And that's why I was really careful of putting the photos that show that they were just in a little onesie or shorts and their feet you could see. Apart from this one, I just thought this kid looked so cute at cruising along furniture, because my son has looked like that when he's just like, do I let go or do I just fall down? Because they can fall down a lot at this point as well, right? Yeah, so sorry, going back, barefoot, no shoes needed at all. The proprioception that you get from barefoot, those little nerve endings going up to the brain and to the spine, to the brainstem, are really important to develop that sensory, that feeling of walking, building those brain pathways. So yeah, no shoes needed. Don't waste your money on cute little Nike shoes, cute little Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse shoes. They are very narrow. They're very stiff, hard shoes. But if you were to buy shoes later on, when they become a little bit confident walkers, you can do wide toe box. And very flexible shoe. So you take the shoe and you go, well, can I turn it? Can I fold it? Can I fold it into half? Some of my favorite ones in Singapore would be the tiptoe Joeys and the blue bucks shoes. They're very wide toe, allow for a lot of movement. They are a little bit expensive. So I say buy them when the child has become a little bit more confident walker and you're like, yeah, we're going to take them to Botanic Gardens and they're going to run around on the grass and on the gravel and stuff. If they're around the house, if they're around your block in the condo or wherever you live, maybe just socks, if they're outside, socks with those little grippies, grips on the bottom, they're more than enough. But even then, if you can keep them barefoot, that is the best thing you will do, and you'll save money.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
We have to move on because it's already 1:45.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll make it fast, okay? Crawling. Okay. I was saying this at work, and a lot of people who know me know I'm very strict about crawling. You need to crawl. Okay, you need to crawl, you need to show whether you start off with army crawling, moving backwards, and eventually just doing this. If you are listening to this, take a screenshot of it, share it with your family of how crucial it is to help build those brain connections on that left and right hemispheres of the brain. Okay, when that cross crawl pattern happens, this will lead to how your children will later on read and write and learn and be at school. Okay. It is so important, that hand-eye coordination, that writing skills, that upright posture, because it builds a lot of shoulder strength and your core. It is very important. Later on, if your child wants to take part in sports, that hand-eye coordination is needed. The writing, how beautiful and neat their writing is going to be, will come if your child crawls. So please, leave your child on the tummy and in a safe environment, if you think, and let them explore. Yeah. So take a screenshot and learn from this. That's why I put all that information there for you to really just understand that. Okay. Okay. Oh, this one's a really good one. So, if you want to share around if your child is getting looked after by your grandparents and or any other relatives and stuff, tummy time is key. Spend more time on the belly to eventually get them stronger for the crawling. Limit your seating devices, the baby seats, the jumpers, and the walkers. Floor play, be on the floor playing. They don't need anything else. Invest in a really good mat, like a floor mat, bigger the better. Great. As they get a little bit older, so I'm talking about 9 months, you can make little obstacles around in your house with all the cushions and the pillows, so it gives them a little like a different terrain to walk down or crawl down in. And also buy those little tunnels, those colorful tunnels that you get. Yeah, you can get them at Mothercare. That's great. So go from one end, come up the other. It is amazing to it makes it more fun and engaging as well, and they love that. And that's the reason they do it at sensory plays and baby gyms, because it's good. Okay. And barefoot exploration, I think we just talked about that as well. So it's really crucial. Okay. This will answer the red flags. Okay. So we have our red flags. We see the babies when they're born, even at newborn. So a lot of my questionnaires have started changing a little bit on the question. 3-week-old will come in and we'll be like, hey, so they will say, holding neck up strongly on their own. I'm like, oh yeah, tell me about that. They were like, oh yeah, they were born and they were on my chest and they were holding their neck up so strong. Look how strong my baby is already.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a red flag. Your newborn should not be holding their neck up at all.
Okay.
Yeah, your newborn can't hold their neck up. Like
No,
not
no.
for long period of time. Not for long period.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, sorry. Let me okay. Your newborn can't do this for long periods of time and craning their neck. And they're like, oh yeah, they're very strong. And I don't know if you've seen this, and I don't know if you have experienced this, parents. We've been getting a lot of, yeah, they're trying to roll already.
So that I know is a big red flag.
Yeah.
Holding the head up, I see a distinct difference between babies that are born at week 38, 39, and those that are born at 42 weeks.
Yeah.
Will have better neck control. They will be stronger there.
How long for?
More time. No, not for extended periods, but there's a difference between them.
Yes,
in limpness or not limpness.
Of course, yes. So this is like my child is like craned neck all the time. Do you do tummy time? No, they have a really strong neck already.
Okay.
You know, so it's that. And again, as a parent, you'll know, you're like, oh, they're holding their neck up for so long, like almost like a 16-week-old, kind of like, you know, that strength in your neck needs to build over time because your muscles get stronger, your upper body gets stronger. You can't just keep it there like this. And these are the ones that you can, you know, when I do that, you can see my muscles here. Right. Yeah. So you can see like the tightness in these muscles as well, and they're arching their back. Yeah, so those are the red flags that you look out for, and we do see this more in instrument birth, so your forceps, your vacuum suction, your C-sections, or a very long, hard, difficult labor, and the child has come out really stressed out, and now they're just fight or flight all the time.
Got it.
Okay. So when
they over too early, that is a sign of tension on the
yeah. So it's not a learned technique now. They have so much tension, they're so fight or flight that they roll over. There are sometimes those reflexive rolls, but not so early. Like they shouldn't just be sitting in a little bassinet and they're doing, and they're like, oh yeah, we've gone to our side.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's almost because they've had a stressful start to entering the world, they're almost bracing for something. So they're very fight or flight. That nervous system is bracing for impact. Yeah. So a lot of that tension. So those are the red flags. Obviously the age ranges, if your child is showing now no signs of rolling over, they're 6 months, they don't like tummy time at all. Okay, a lot of the parents will be like, no, we can't do tummy time because they just cry on tummy time. Again, we go back to how the mechanism of being born. Yeah. That's really important. And if there were instruments used, if they came out like their head like this a little bit, it pushes the occiput even more so into extension. And now they can't flex their neck, so they can't bend their neck for the tummy time. And putting in the tummy time pushes their neck even more forward, and they hate it.
Okay. I have a question for you there, because I do think there are certain ways of doing tummy time that a baby might enjoy more. What are your tips and tricks for that?
Yeah, so my favorite one would be take a parent, whoever, do the tiger in the tree. Okay, so that one's really good. And then inclined position, do it on yourself in an inclined position. You can put them across your lap as well. And you know, have some interaction, but if your child now consistently kind of hates that tummy time, even with those things, but they're happy on you, happy there, but when they're left alone, like kind of to do it on the floor, because on the floor encourages more movement, right? So and we want that full body movement, but they're constantly just crying and arching their back and wanting to turn. Those are other indicators that some other tension in the spine may be going on, and the nervous system might need a little bit more help in rest and digest and calming down.
Yeah. And I think laying down with your baby rather than putting them on their tummy and then walking off to do something else is,
Yes.
just play with them.
Yeah, get down on their level, especially when they're so
Yeah.
young and they can't like see where you're going and they can't track it.
Yeah.
Lay down with them, sing a song, have some interaction. Your black and white books are really important at this time because they can only see that much. So
And what about what about rolled up towels and
so that comes a little bit later on.
I see.
Yeah, a little bit later on, but yeah, you can definitely use that as they start to come up on their hand elbows and a little bit, so you can roll up the towel and do that. I've seen a really cool those water mats. They're quite sensory, they're quite fun, and you can put them on so they can move those things around. Again, a little bit later on, not at newborn. They don't really know what's going on at that time.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, we have questions. Sorry. We've read those. While you're discussing the younger babies, how to best carry younger infants from their back. I'm holding behind the neck and buttocks, but wonder if this creates tension on their neck.
Do you mean when you cradle them and you're carrying them?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Queenie.
Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to ask, it's basically when I'm carrying them from the cot.
From the cot.
Yeah, from the cot, that's right.
So you're from the cot to another seated position, or you're walking around? Is that what you mean?
No, you're picking them up from the cot.
Picking them up.
Oh, yeah, picking them up. Yeah, so you just do the usual, lift them under the head, under the buttock and cradle in that cradle position. Not kind of like, depending on their age and how heavy the baby may be, not from the shoulders, because you do need to support that neck a little bit.
Okay, so it's not going to create tension at the back of the neck.
No, don't
Thank
worry.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe we can do a video on this on my Instagram.
Good. Can newborns, sorry, another question. Can newborns 5 to 6 weeks old hurt their neck if, for example, they suddenly suddenly throw or jerk their head to one side or to the into the back?
Yeah, so we've seen that, and this is usually a sign of tension. So they're already under a lot of stress, and that's why they're arching their back and doing this. And if you're noticing that they may be doing this, if you're trying to breastfeed and they're doing this, because they can't bend down, they can't like lift their neck up properly to go to the nipple. So that was already a sign of that they have stress and they're trying to move away and arch their back. So definitely get an assessment, and then get an assessment, see what's going on, how a chiropractor can help calm the system down so they're not doing that.
Great. Other red flags?
Other red flags. No movement. No, I think we covered it all. Yeah. We have our too early head control, too strong, arching their back, trying to roll over, not showing any signs of any milestones or skipped a milestone. Now they've like completely skipped crawling. They never crawled on all fours, and they've just gone to standing. The other things that you can do to mitigate that. So just watching out for those things. Yeah. So this is more condensed, kind of like, under 1 up to 1 years of age. Okay.
Another question.
Oh, yes.
Is preferring to sleep on one side also a red flag?
How old is your child?
Five weeks.
No. What do you mean preferring? Like, do you mean like they're laying on their back and they're like this?
Maybe it's the head. Yeah.
Is it the head preference?
On one side, yeah.
Yeah. So head preference is a red flag. And yeah, thank you for pointing that. So it shows that they can't move their head to the other side, and that's why they can't. And this will develop to what we call a plagiocephaly, or flat head spots. And we usually do see that if the inability to move that neck on one side to the other will show a head preference, and now their head starts to flatten.
Okay. Actually, mom meant no, the baby is totally sleeping on her left side. She likes to sleep lying on her left.
Oh, like on her side?
Yeah.
Does she ever sleep on her back or her tummy?
not the tummy. So this is the reason why we don't encourage the side lying or completely on their sides, is that there's too much danger of them rolling into their tummy.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's definitely a red flag. I would encourage just like laying on her back, or doing maybe taking a contact now. She's only 6 weeks. Taking a contact now if needed. No, laying on your side is probably not the best.
So that's the thing. So she lies on her back, but mostly she would then turn to the side, to this one side, the left.
Yeah, and yeah, that is you get that checked. See why, and why just the one side? Is she holding that tension, and that she gets that reflexive roll? You know what we talked about, that is she so tight she just goes, yeah, this better. Yeah. Also on a similar note, on the red flag, a hand preference before the age of 1 is a red flag. Okay, they don't. So I'm just holding things on my right hand. I never transfer midline.
Okay.
Midline, that's a red flag. Your child shouldn't have a hand preference before the age of 1. Yeah. So you can't tell if your child's a righty or a lefty before.
Okay. When do we see that?
After 1. After 1, they should be using, again, because of the midline crossing over, we should always see them use both their arms. Otherwise, these kids become the kid, like they don't know their left side exists, and these ones will be the one they don't crawl properly because they don't know. And everything is just right-sided or left-sided, right-sided, right-sided. And yeah, a little bit later on after 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Both hands and feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any more questions?
No. That's
okay. Key takeaways. Everyone's birth experience is different, but early, intervention, I do think like early things that you can do as parents is important. Tummy time is my favorite. It really doesn't require much. Please do that. Okay. Really, you will see the difference. Gentle stretches, just really movement that is not unrestricted movement. Okay. To help that natural development. Delayed or skipped milestones does not mean that the child is very clever or now they've achieved something. Please monitor. They can't skip or jump to another milestone, and that's why monitoring that movement and that reflex integration is important because for how they will grow. Okay, because for how they will eventually be as a teenager and as an adult or as a student at school, of how they will read and write as well. And if there are any fight or flight, nervous system tension, or you've had birth trauma, the baby you've had went through a lot of trauma at birth, or yourself, get their nervous system checked. Bring them back to that rest and digest rather than fight or flight. And that post-birth care matters. Yeah.
Sorry, I've disappeared.
Oh, that's okay.
Because it says my battery's running low and I'm plugged
that was mine.
Oh, okay, it was yours.
That was mine.
Okay, anyway, I hope you all saw my bum. Right, one question I have for you too is, what does it actually mean to have a chiropractic assessment on a baby?
Okay. So a chiropractic assessment will mean
treatment as well.
Oh, adjustment. Okay. So our assessment runs through a full consultation, birth, your pregnancy, how they were born, what your concerns and your goals are. And then our assessment is a full neurological and an orthopedic assessment. That means we are testing their reflexes, like your spinal reflexes, how I'm checking over there, that little tap. We're checking their primitive reflexes, that system, that navigating system that you're born with. Then we're checking how their spine is moving, how what their ranges of motion looks like. And then we're finding those areas of stresses that can impact how the nerve function is, and then adjusting in the areas where those stresses are. Our adjustment to a baby, even that baby, Nora is about 16 months now, and 15 months now. And the adjustment even on her or a newborn baby just looks like how you would touch to check the firmness of an avocado.
Okay. Because I have a question here in the chat. What I heard is that chiropractors would break the bones when doing the therapy. Is that true?
No, it's not true. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had that experience or you heard of that experience. You may be referring to that popping or cracking noise that happens when we adjust the adults. okay? That is that synovial joint releasing and that gas bubble creating. That's what the noise that you heard, which is similar to when you crack your knuckles. How I adjust a newborn or even that little older kid is very soft pressure. It almost feels like a massage-like movement, gentle pressure, nothing more. Yeah, there's no cracking or anything. If anyone is doing that to the kids, please let me know.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So a very gentle practice. So that's what we wanted to hear. Great. I learned a lot today. I hope you mummies did as well. Aymun, are you still there? Oh, we've lost Aymun. So I'm really sorry that that happened. I think she wanted to stop sharing her presentation and left the call. So thanking you, all your mummies and daddies, all your parents joining, or grandparents, who knows, joining our call today. We will post this on YouTube. I'm sorry, I was just saying you probably started to stop sharing. And
Few minutes. I'm sorry about that.
that's okay. Thank you so much, Aymun, for spending your morning with us.
Thank you.
I'm happy to have had you. I think we all learned a lot.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, we will post this on YouTube. And Aymun, from you, I'd love for you to send me your contact and also the shoe brands that you mentioned. I think I would like to put those in the
Sure.
video.
Yeah, I'll do that. And if any of you wanted any extra information or learn about what we do, our Instagram is a wealth of knowledge. It's just at New Beginnings Chiro. It's one word, New Beginnings Chiro. And yeah, you can find a lot of information. DM us if you have questions. Come in for an assessment and we'll help you out.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
We'll see you next week.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.